I think I already showed you in the last video, but this is where Panama is kind of at its thinnest, and this is where the Panama Canal runs. Good morning internet, it is 20 to 9 in the morning and welcome back to the channel. Welcome here in Panama City. Really cool place to be, and today I'm going to take you to one of the greatest wonders of the New World, which is the Panama Canal. This Panama Canal is actually a lot more interesting than you might think. So I'm going to go there and have a look and show you around a little bit. Okay. A lot of high-rise right here on the new part of town. So you got old Panama City, which is on that side. This is the new part of Panama City. I actually just have to make a U-turn because I have to go that way. The Hilton Casino. Trying to find a better viewpoint. Here I'm a little bit higher. So right behind me you can see the Panama Canal, or well, part of it, because the entire Panama Canal is 50 miles long, which is about 82 kilometers I think. I think I already showed you in the last video, but this is where Panama is kind of at its thinnest, and this is where the Panama Canal runs. It runs through the Lago Gatun over here, and then it cuts straight across here. It's this red line here until Panama City. And well, the importance of the channel is basically shown by how many vessels pass through here. At the moment it's about 14,500 vessels that pass through every year. And 10 years ago they already passed the milestone of 1 million ships that pass through. It's crazy. And for a really long time the size of the original locks of the Panama Canal have been used to determine the maximum size of ships that were being built worldwide. And that size is known as the Panamax. Oh, there's also still a railway. So besides oversea, we are still transporting things by railway here as well. So the idea to create a water passage that would link the Pacific and the Atlantic Oceans already dates back from the 1500s, when King Charles I from Spain sent out a group of people to survey the river over here. But even though at the time they thought it would be impossible to cross through the mountainous jungle, the idea of having a shortcut to connect Europe to Eastern Asia, that idea remained. And ultimately it were the French who attempted it for the first time. So the French team was led by a man called Ferdinand de Lesseps, and he was also in charge of building the Suez Canal in Egypt. So he had a little bit of experience. And they started their construction efforts in 1880. But they faced a monumental challenge, and besides constructional problems, they were battling with tropical diseases like yellow fever and malaria, and that was actually one of the main reasons why they stopped the project a few years later. And well, then the United States kind of swooped in and they took over the project in 1904. And at some stages of the project they had 6,000 men working on a 9-mile stretch at the same time. So that was one of the hardest stretches that they had to go through. And eventually they completed the project in 1914, and by that time it had cost $350 million, which at the time was the most expensive construction project that the United States had done ever in history. So why did the French fail and the Americans succeed? So if we take out the tropical diseases from the equation, it was the way that they were looking at building the actual canal. So what the French were trying to do is build a level canal. But the problem is that there was a natural topography. So in the middle, the land was higher. So if you then still want a level canal connecting both oceans, then you'll need to dig a very, very deep canal. And when you start doing that, your slopes are not going to be stable and they're going to collapse. So if you want to have stable slopes, you need to dig an even wider canal and excavate even more and more. So it was just a monumental task for them to be able to pull it off that way. And doing it that way, they also didn't take into account tides. The Americans, on the other hand, realized that a level canal would never work, and they constructed locks, which were expensive, difficult, but in the end it was the only solution to get it done and save millions of cubic meters of excavation. Now they built locks in 3 different locations, but I think the most impressive ones are the Miraflores locks. So let's go and check those out. So there are 12 locks in total, and now I'm standing at the Miraflores locks. So ships are lifted here into 2 steps up to that level. Then the next locks lifted again 1 more step until Gatun Lake, and then on the other side of Gatun Lake there are again locks, and they lower the ships down into 3 steps back to the Atlantic side. So on this side, on the Miraflores locks, ships are lifted 16 meters up. Crazy, right? And well, that's on average, because it all depends on the tides. So when it's extremely high tides, the lift is 13 meters, and when it's extremely low tide, the lift is 20 meters. So on the Pacific side, you get huge tidal differences. On the Atlantic side, the tidal differences are very small. So there, the lifts are pretty much always the same. Now the lock chambers that you see here are massive concrete structures. So the side walls are about 15 meters thick at the base. And then towards the top there's less strength required, so they taper down into steps and they're a little bit thinner at the top. Each lock chamber requires 100,000 square meters of water to fill it from the lowered up to the raised position. And of course the same amount of water must be drained again from the chamber to lower it again. Well, I had to wait a little bit, and the weather completely changed, as you can see. But there's one coming through. And the next one is already coming there as well. So they have 2 channels on all the locks, so ships can pass each other simultaneously from both sides. And I don't know how well you can see this because it's a little far away, but just on the right hand side of that ship you see like a little, it looks like a little train which runs on those rails on the sides, and they call those mulas, which basically means mules. And they are guiding the ship to make sure that it passes safely, because you can see it's super tight fit for pretty much all of them. Anybody ordered anything from Amazon Prime? Here it comes. Just full with containers with Amazon Prime. So you can see the difference in water level now, that this one is all raised. And so now this vessel has passed through the first step and it's now continuing in that part, which is the second step, to lift it up all the way till that level over there. There's nothing coming from the other side at the moment, so they can just pass two vessels from the same direction at the same time now. So now this one is almost in, so then they're gonna close the locks on the back side and then pump all of this water into these locks. They're opening the locks now. You can see that the water is level. So it's now ready to pass into the second step. That one is already through. And there she goes. So, how fascinating was that? Cool, right? I could watch that the whole day. I think it's just, wow, yeah. That humans can come up with this type of stuff, I think is pretty incredible. Anyway, so it was Americans that built the original Panama Canal, and they handed it over to Panama in 1991, I think. And since then there's been more and more construction on it. So there's been a deepening project and widening project and obviously a lot of maintenance dredging. And most of that dredging is being done by, well, I think it's DEME, which is a Belgian dredging company. I worked 5 years for a dredging company. And I think I mentioned before that my last assignment was in Ecuador, in Guayaquil. But before that, I was actually also here in Panama City, working on a tender here for the Panama Canal, and yeah, I think we lost that also to the Belgian competitors. But anyway, those projects are quite complicated because there's also a lot of rock around here. So many of those projects actually involve a lot of drilling and blasting to get rid of that rock, which makes projects always a little bit risky and complicated. Anyway, I think it's time we head to Panama City. I just want to have a look around the old town, which is quite cool, and ride around there a little bit and show you that part. So let's go. Check out this view. So that's the new Panama City, and I'm now kind of riding on this ring road around old Panama City, which is over here. I actually missed my turn. I was supposed to go in there and now I'm on this road, but anyway, I'll just ride around it and find another entrance on that side. Casco Antiguo. So, welcome to the old part of town. It's some really awesome buildings. Ah yeah, this little church is pretty famous. I'm not sure if it's open. Ah, it's closed. Oh, that's a shame. Oh no, it's open on that side. Yes. So the altar is actually made of wood and covered entirely in gold leaf. Stunning, right? And legend says that in 1671 there was a pirate called Henry Morgan, and he was attacking the city, and the Jesuit priests then painted the entire altar black to hide it from the pirates, and that's how they managed to keep it, and it survived the pirate attack. Alright, so I'm just going to ride a little bit more through the streets of Old Town, and then I'm just gonna ride back to the new part of town again. I just really have to watch the street signs very well here, because it's all one-way streets. So before you know it, you're riding against traffic. So there's still some really old structures still standing, like this one here, for example. There's some very cute streets out here. Just gonna ride to the seaside now. Here, there's another one. Can't believe it's still standing. So here you can see as well that they built a new building right against an old building there. Hola! Cool, right? There's some, I don't know, men in uniforms. What they're guarding. That was a little tour of old Panama City. I think this city is pretty cool. I like being here as an expat, and yeah, it's both modern, there's history, you got the Panama Canal, really awesome. So yeah, and it's been a good place to spend a couple of days. I was just so tired after that whole crossing of the Darien Gap and spending 3 days on little boats. I just arrived here completely exhausted, but now I'm feeling much better already, so that's good. So yeah, that was it for today. I really hope you liked this video, and if you did, please give me a big thumbs up, subscribe down below, and then I'll see you in the next video. It's the fish market here. Ha! Judging by all the birds looking for easy meal.